Hello, everyone. My name is Stephen Park with LA County Library, and I welcome you to Life Skills for Emerging Adults, How to Get Your First Job. The series is supported in part by the U.S. Institute of Museum and Library Services under the provisions of the Library Services and Technology Act, administered in California by the State Librarian. This is the first virtual program in this new series for LA County Library, focusing on helpful life skill topics for emerging adults age 18 to 25. Regular library speaker, Liz Mohler. Thank you, Liz, and welcome. The stage is yours.
Hello, Jose and Stephen. It's nice to have a couple of the library people back, and I can see that we have a handful of people that have shown up already, and we're expecting a few more people. So it's exactly 2 minutes after the hour. So I will go ahead and welcome everybody again and say that I'm super excited to be here for this special group because this is the young adults. This is the 18 to 25-year-old special delivery. And I'm excited to cover a lot of information. And I would love to get a little bit of a chitter chatter in the chat. So if you are here because you're the one that wants to get this advice, I would love for you to put the number 1 in the chat. And then maybe if you're comfortable, let me know how old you are. I'm curious if you're 18, 21, 25, or if you're 21 plus. If you don't want to say how old you are, that's fine. If you're here because you're a parent, you're looking out for somebody else, you're learning, but you're also learning for somebody else, you might give yourself a 2, because then there's 2 people that are going to benefit, you're going to benefit, and then you're also going to teach somebody how to benefit. And if you're a counselor or a coach or a therapist or a teacher, and you're going to talk to lots of people about how to give jobs, you'd be a number 3 because you're a 3 or more people helping out. So go ahead and give me a 1 in the chat if you're the one who wants this information, a 2 in the chat if you're going to share this information, and a number 3 in the chat if you're a fellow coach or a guidance counselor or a teacher. Oh, looks like we've got a couple people chiming in already. We've got a couple 18-year-olds. We've got a couple 23-year-olds. We've got a couple people that are, oh, this is great, 22. We've got some young people chiming in on the chat. I love it because I'm trying to make this as interactive as possible. Even though we're still living in the Zoom land, we want to make this as interactive as possible. Okay. And we're looking to give good advice. So thank you for putting that question in there right at the beginning. I will say for everybody that's logged in, go ahead and grab a pen or a pencil. I know those are sometimes hard to find in these technical days, but I'm hoping you have a journal or a notebook or something that you can write down some of my nuggets of wisdom, because I'm going to share some of the best information that I can so that you have a really good big picture in 50 minutes of how to get your first job or how to get your first career launch started. So that's really what I think is super, super important, is that you've got a pen and paper. I tend to talk kind of quickly, but I'm also going to give you like a bird's eye view, kind of looking down at the big picture of what do I do? I'm 22 years old and I'm figuring out my life. I'm 23 years old and I just got out of college. I'm 18 out of high school, or I'm thinking about going back and learning something new to get better at a career. We're going to cover lots of these sorts of questions. So I will go ahead and share my screen so that we can get started, because this is it. This is life skills. This is one of the most important things you're going to do in your life, and that's get a job, start your career. So we want to dive right in, and I want to introduce myself. For those of you that have never seen my workshops before, this is who I am. I am originally from Madison, Wisconsin, graduated from the university. My father was a Shakespeare professor, so I'm a faculty brat. I was born and raised there. And then it was a little too cold for me, so I went to Arizona to get my graduate work done. I have a master's degree in rehabilitation psychology and counseling. And then I moved to Los Angeles, and I have worked at UCLA, I've worked at USC, I've worked at Loyola Marymount University. I also have a son who graduated from UCLA. He's a design media artist. I also have a son who's a lacrosse player, graduated from Boston University. So I'm very well aware of the challenges of being a young adult and trying to find your way in the world. What I'm currently doing is I'm working a little bit as a consultant through a couple different organizations. One of them is called Chief. So this is for the women in the room that aspire to be in the C-suite, chief executive officer, chief financial officer, chief technology officer. There's actually a company called Chief, and I am one of the fortunate core guides who meets with a group of women who are in the on the career ladder, in the VP level, trying to climb up the corporate ladder. And what they're looking for is support and structure to help them step into their leadership roles. So that's an organization I'm very proud to be part of. I'm also very active in the International Coach Federation. So rather than just being a career counselor or a career coach, I'm actually a life coach, and I do quite a bit of executive coaching. So I do quite a bit of public speaking, and I've been working with the public libraries for over 10 years. So I love these library workshops because, in my opinion, it's you guys that are smart enough to know that the libraries are one of the best places you can go to get support and to learn new things. So I hope you're visiting your libraries in person, and I really applaud you all for being here today. So that being said, what are we going to do today? Here's what we're going to do. We're going to talk a little bit about the most important things, which are helping you realize who you are and what do you bring to the world of work. We're also going to dig in a little bit about how do you visualize, what does that look like? Where are the jobs these days? What is the world of work for someone who's just 18, 19, 20 years old and just getting started? And then once we start to figure out who we are and where the world of work has possibilities and openings for us, then I'm going to give you some pointers on how to connect. So we're going to cover some of the simple basics really quickly: resumes, interviews, what to do, where to go, and we're going to cover it all. So that's we're setting the stage, and we're going to work quickly on this. So the first thing I want to tell you is that getting on the road to job search success, it's not really even a road. It's more like a path. And the assumption is that this path up the mountain has gotten us, you know, we're starting at the bottom where it might be just about education. And that's really what you were probably told if you were, you know, a kid, or somebody said, oh, you want to get a good job, stay in school. Excellent advice. If you want to get a good job, stay in school. So we start with the foundation of education. But what you and I both know is that's not enough. It's not enough to have that GED. It's not enough to have that high school diploma or even that college degree. You need to have something more in order to achieve that career goal. So what else do you need besides education that you get from school is what I call your knowledge. Where does this knowledge come from? This knowledge can come from anywhere. This knowledge can come from the family that raised you. You might have knowledge about another culture. You might have knowledge about speaking a second language. You might have knowledge about the construction business because that's what your father did, or that's what your mother did. You might have knowledge about cooking because you were raised in a family where those were some of your chores, was cooking or washing the dishes. The knowledge you gain is your life expectation, your life experiences, shall we say. And on top of your knowledge and your awareness, many of you have probably gotten some skills. And those skills can be self-taught skills. They can be skills that somebody taught you. They can be on-the-job training skills. There's all sorts of things that actually help you navigate all the way up the mountain to get you to where it is you want to be, because it's all around your experiences. What do you bring to the table? So I put these all on this little path because the goal up at the top might be the dream job, that dream career, that awesome, you know, opportunity to make money. That's at the top. So I'm going to give you one of my many Lizisms, and you may want to write this one down, because I'm going to tell you the number 1 most effective way to get a job. Drum roll. It is all about your, where did it go? It's your network. So one of my keynotes is networking is 1 letter away from not working. So that's my Lizism for you. And you may have heard this told to you in other ways. It's not what you know, it's who you know. Who are you connected to? So what we need to do is we need to figure out, how do we get on this path, and how do we find our career if this is all of the different pieces? But one of the things I'd like to challenge you to do, and I'm going to quote one of my favorite authors, a guy named Stephen Covey, C-O-V-E-Y. Stephen Covey wrote a book called 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And one of his 7 habits is begin with the end in mind. Begin at the top of the mountain and ask yourself, who do I know that's doing something I want to do? Who do I read about in the books when I go to the library? Who am I curious about? If I want to do some research and I want to do, like, what does Elon Musk do? What does Oprah Winfrey do? Start thinking about who's in your network. Maybe it's somebody that you know personally. Maybe you've got a friend or a relative that has a really cool job. Who do you know doing what you want to do? And then you can reverse it and you can actually try to understand or research or talk to them about what experiences they have. What skills do they have? What knowledge or education? What did they need to do to get on the road to where they are? So then what I want to do is I want to circle back to what I call phase 1. Phase 1 is all about you. And this is really where we start with the 3 keys to figuring out your future. So when we think about the 3 keys to your future, this is where I really want you to take a deep breath, kind of roll your shoulders back, get the pen working on the piece of paper, and ask yourself, what are the things that I know? What are the things that I already know about myself? What is it that I know about, like, what is it that I really have an understanding of? Maybe as I said before, I speak a second language, or I can read and write in that language, or I know how to do math, or I know how to work with children, or I know that I'm comfortable around animals, because what we know is so broad. And sometimes when we're young, we think, I don't know anything. I really don't know anything. And yet I want you all to stop. And I want you to think about your favorite class in grade school, your favorite subject in middle school, maybe a club you joined or an organization you volunteered for, something that you did that gave you a sense of knowledge. Because there should be a lot of things. But then I want you to dig a little deeper. What do you like? What do you really, really like? If I gave you $20, or okay, it's 2022. If I gave you $200 and said, go to the bookstore, okay, go to the library, go on Amazon. What do you like? What magazines do you read? What books would you like to buy? What are you watching? What video games are you playing? What is it that you like to do? Think about a time you lost track of time. Think about a time when you were having so much fun because you liked hanging out with your friends. And what were your friends doing? Were you riding bikes? Were you hiking in the mountains? What is it that you like to do? Because then I can get closer to what's the essence of who you are, because you need to trust yourself. You need to trust that the decision you're going to make going forward in your life to unlock the key to success is that it's up to you. Because whose choice is it where you get a job? Are you doing the job that your mom wants you to do or your dad wants you to do? Some serious parental pressure. Your parents are probably saying, be a lawyer, be an accountant, be a doctor. And you might be saying, I want to be an artist. I want to be a musician. I want to be a Netflix movie star. Trusting yourself to come up with what you know you like is actually phase 1. Begin with the end in mind. Make that dream of the top of the mountain. And then I'm going to help you figure out how to get there. Let's dig in a little deeper. So when I ask you what you know, it's really worth putting a list together of all of the knowledge that you have, all of the skills that you have, all of the education that you have, all of the training, and elaborate on that. And if you have an opportunity to get on the computer on LinkedIn Learning, or if you can take an online course, that counts as training. If you can get CPR training, if you want to work in a restaurant, you might need to be trained as a bartender. You might need to get a certificate. You might want to go to a boot camp and learn how to do coding. You might teach yourself how to make a website. You might have to roll up your sleeves and get skills doing what you want to do just from doing it. Because the honest truth of the matter is, education does not stop when you get out of school. I want you all to be lifelong learners. I want you to be constantly learning something new. Because, and here's another Lizism, the more you learn, the more you earn. I'm still going back to school to learn new things. I recently went back to the International Coach Federation to take their coursework to become an ACC certified coach. And I took classes on Zoom I had a paper to write. I had to videotape coaching sessions. I had to share them with a supervisor. I had to hire my own coach to coach me to be a better coach. So I have a mentor coach. I have a coach supervisor. I have coaches coaching me because I know there's always something more to learn. And once we figure out what that knowledge base is, we've got to ask ourselves, what do I like? Because if I'm interested in something, I'm going to be more inclined to want to learn more about it. So now it's time for me to help you guys dig into, what do you like? Do any of you out there have hobbies? Do any of you have a hobby that you're doing, on the weekends? Maybe you're a basketball player. Maybe you collect something. Maybe you're a collector of something, or you like to play card games, or something that's a hobby that actually might turn into a career. I mean, I started counseling people and coaching people just for the fun of it, because I thought, you know what, there's people in the world that need people to listen. So I volunteered. I volunteered on suicide prevention lines in high school. I just started volunteering with the people that I wanted to help. And when you start doing those sorts of things, you're going to get experience, because doing what you like is really at the heart of keeping you motivated and inspired. It's kind of like asking you, what are you passionate about? And this is another one of my Lizisms. Passion, if you break it apart, what is it that you want to pass on? Because you're the I in the middle. Do you want to pass on your love of food? Maybe working at a restaurant. Even if you have to start out as the busboy, you can work your way up because you have a passion for food. Maybe you have a passion for the outdoors and working in nature. Maybe volunteering at the local playground or the local park, learning a little bit about the outdoors, cleaning up the wetlands, donating some time. And then all of these experiences, all of this knowledge, you actually can put into place, because once you've tried it and done it, you'll start to trust yourself. And when I put trust on the list, what I'm digging for is the things that are your personality. They're your traits. They're things that you would just do. And your core values. If you value friendship and family, you may want to find opportunities for your next career, your next job, to be your next set of friends. I talk to a lot of people who say, well, the reason I'm working here is because my friends are here. The way that I got this job is that's where my friends were working. The number one most effective way to get a job is networking. And networking is connections. And networking is helping people get to know you. And once they get to know you, helping them start to like you, but more importantly, helping them trust you. And it's challenging because a lot of times as a career coach, I'll get a phone call and somebody will say, Liz, I need help. I need a job. I want you to help me write my resume. And I'll say to them, that's great. We're going to work together on the resume, but I don't know what to put on the resume if I don't know who you are, if I don't know what you already know, if I don't know what you like. And resumes don't get jobs. People do. So if you're at home and you've been applying online, going through Indeed or LinkedIn or any of the job search workshops, and you're hitting send, 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 and you're sending out the resumes, that's only helping people get to know you. You have to get to an interview to meet them face to face to see if they're going to like you. But more importantly, it might take 1 or 2 resumes or 1 or 2 interviews or 3 or 4 interviews, or they may even check references to see if they trust you. And so my role in career coaching all of you is to help you figure out, how am I even going to get to that interview or get that resume written if I don't really know the answer to one of the most important questions? So here we go. The $1 million question. This is where I want to take a breather and make sure everybody's got their pen and paper, because I want you to write down a $sign and a question mark, the $1 million question, because this is going to come up a lot as I'm coaching you, or as you're coaching yourself, or as you're coaching your friends and family. You're going to get asked this question. And you've probably heard this question before. The $1 million question is, what exactly are you looking for? And guess what? If you're all looking for a job, write the word job on your piece of paper. Right? J-O-B. That's exactly what you're looking for. That's all you want. You just want a job. Great, write that down. Now circle it and put an X through it. Because I don't want you talking that way. I need a job. I'm looking for a job. I'll do anything. I'll work anywhere. I need a job. The truth of the matter is, once you start saying that, people are going to run away. They are going to look at you like, uh-oh, there is something wrong with that person. Because if they can't get a job in this economy, the great resignation, when there's a help wanted sign in most windows across the city of Los Angeles, where I live, or across wherever you are, what's wrong with that person if they can't get a job? So we don't want to do that. What we want to do is we want to draw a heart, and we want to get to the heart of the issue and the heart of the matter. And I want that heart to be big. And I want you to think about what it is you really want to do, not just get a job because of the money. There's more to life than just making money. I know life is better and easier and more fun if you have more money, but at the heart of the issue, nobody's going to hire you because you need money. This is not a charity. They're not just going to hire you because you're broke. That is not what they want. We're going to go back to Stephen Covey. When you think about looking for a job, Stephen Covey's, one of his 7 habits is it's got to be win-win. They have to get to know you and you have to get to know them. You get to decide if you like them and they get to decide if they like you. And then you get to decide if you trust them and they get to decide if they trust you. Because the number one reason you're going to get hired, which is also the number one reason a lot of people get fired, is the number one thing that the boss is looking for, the number one thing that the manager is looking for, the number one thing that the hiring manager is looking for, coincidentally, is exactly what you're looking for. And it's a simple 3-letter word. It's all about the fit, F-I-T. It's all about the fit. So what we're looking for is, where do you fit in now? Where do you fit in today? Where can you get a job tomorrow? Where can you get a job quickly? Because another one of my Lizisms is that it's easier to get a job if you have a job. So I say that in the sense that I want to know, what exactly are you looking for? You may be looking for an incredible high-level job. You want to be a doctor, or maybe you do want to be a lawyer. You want to be something at the top of the mountain. The curiosity is, where are you going to start? Where are you going to get on that road to get some experience or get some skills or get some knowledge? And we may have to work in reverse, and that makes it easier. So when I'm working with young adults, my advice is do something. Get your foot in the door, because whatever you do, you're going to learn. You're going to grow. You're going to make mistakes, but you're going to get out there and give it a try and do something that you want to do. So figuring out the answer to the question, what exactly are you looking for, is to stop saying I need a job and start thinking about, who can I help? Who's out there in the world that needs my help? And guess what? For those of you that said you're 18, 19, 20, 21, these are the typical young adult first jobs. The first thing you can do, babysit. Babysit your little brother, babysit your little sister, babysit the neighbor's kids, babysit the neighbor's dog. Do you know how much Rover pays people to walk a dog? $16 an hour, $18 an hour to babysit their dog, to babysit their house while they go out of town. But they're not going to hire you to babysit their kids unless they know you and like you and trust you. So you may have to volunteer. You may have to volunteer to take the kids to the park or to the playground. Or if you really want to start making money, think about what you've learned that you could tutor somebody else. Go back to your grade school. Go back to your local high school. Go back to your favorite teacher in the subject you got an A in, and see if there isn't anybody in that class that might pay you to be a tutor. Maybe you've got a college degree. Maybe you passed the SAT or the GRE. Maybe you could tutor someone in Spanish who doesn't speak Spanish, or in some other language. Or maybe you could be a camp counselor working after school. Maybe you know how to play basketball. Maybe the Boys and Girls Club or the YMCA, or maybe an after-school program like robotics or engineering, or maybe something back on a university campus. There's so many opportunities to give back. And maybe you're a little more money-minded. So let me give you another Lizism. Companies are looking for people that can make them money or save them money. So you may want to look at retail. Maybe you like going to the mall. Maybe you like shopping. The easiest thing for those people in the malls and in the shops to do is to put a help wanted sign up. And maybe they'll say apply online. But you know what? On every application, somewhere on the application is going to be the same question. How did you hear about us? Who referred you? So I'm going to give you another Lizism. Don't apply for a job anywhere, Home Depot, Walgreens, McDonald's, until you've been there, met the manager, and asked the manager, what exactly are you looking for? Because that $1 million question, that's a two-way street. If you see help wanted at a restaurant, before you apply, I want you to walk in that restaurant. I want you to eat the food, talk to the waitress, talk to the bartender, talk to the bouncer, talk to whoever's at that restaurant. If you get to know the restaurant and the restaurant owners get to know you, you get to like it. You might even be able to say to them, hey, I know your menu. I really want to help you. I know there's a line out the door because you don't have enough servers. I really think that I could help you. They might say apply online, and you might ask them, well, what exactly are you looking for? What if they say we're looking for a delivery person? What if they say we're looking for someone who can work during the week till midnight? And maybe you're still in school. Maybe you don't even have a car. Are you going to want that job? Probably not. My concern when I work with young people is sometimes they go where somebody else wants them to go. Hospitality is an interesting one. And I had a client who came to a workshop that I was doing, and she was in my workshop. And I do these workshops through the California Workforce Association and through the jobs programs that are available through Jewish Vocational Services. They're available at community colleges. There's job placement places. They will basically train you and you don't have to pay for it. You can qualify if you have low income, you can qualify for training programs. What I say is, be careful what you go for you will surely get it. I was doing a workshop, this woman came through, and then all of a sudden she stopped coming. And a year later, she came back to my workshop. And I said, weren't you in my workshop a year ago? She said, oh yeah, I got training. I went to school and became a nurse. I became a certified nursing assistant. I got my CNA. And I said, that's great. You got your certified nursing position. You got a certificate. Did you get a job? She said, no. I said, well, why not? She said, I don't have any experience. I said, well, you got the certificate, you got the 6 months training, you passed. She said, yeah. Then they placed me in a hospital and I started work there and I hated it. All those sick people, I had to wear a uniform. It smells in there. I don't want to be a nurse. And my question to her was, did you begin with the end in mind? Before applying for a job at a hospital, had you ever been a patient in a hospital? Had you ever volunteered in a hospital? Had you ever talked to a doctor or a nurse? Because if that woman had actually experienced the nursing world, she may not have gone through 6 months of training. And I see this happen a lot. I know that cable installers, people learn how to do cable installation and they do 6 months of training to get certified as a cable installer. And then graduation requires climbing up a telephone pole or tunneling under a house or pulling wire. And they go, oh, I don't want to do that. Pays really well. They went through 6 months of training, but is that the right job for you? Do you love that job or do you not love that job? These hospitality jobs, these entry-level positions, word of mouth, pounding the pavement, what's in your community? And if you've got lots of ideas, let geography help you. Start with what you know and what you like in your community, because you're more likely to break through. If you've got a college degree, if you want to work your way up the ladder, there's all sorts of positions like an administrative assistant or a junior social media manager or a sales rep or an assistant recruiter or a research assistant. And I throw this list out here because I want you to think about what you know how to do, what you like to do, and what you're eager to learn about, and put that word in front of the word assistant. If you like animals and you like helping animals, maybe a veterinary assistant. If you like selling shoes, if you like jewelry, if you like makeup, if you like fashion, you could be a retail assistant or a fashion assistant. You could volunteer to work at an event and learn the ropes. And then the next time you could apply because you've got that experience on your resume, something to put on your resume. It's interesting because many times young people are like, I don't really have the skills. And I want to share with you that there are hard skills, knowing software, knowing technology. Maybe you need to know how to do Twitter or Zoom, or you need to know something for social media, or you maybe need to have some sales experience. But if you've sold Girl Scout cookies, if you've, done anything, that you could help somebody with, that's experience. And that's hard, tangible experience. But more importantly, it's about your soft skills. When you're young, you need to understand that these soft skills are hugely important. And the cool thing about figuring this out is that this was a survey that was done through the National Association of College, and I think it's executive. I got to read my fine print here. But what we're seeing is that students come out of college, students come out of school, and they think, I'm green, I'm really good at diversity, equity, inclusion. I really believe that the workforce should be diverse. And bosses and managers say, we agree, students get this. But notice on this chart, I wanted to point out the only disconnect on these where bosses in the green, bosses in the blue are asked about students' leadership skills. Students say they're great at leadership. They're great at professionalism. Students say they're great at self-development and teamwork. Bosses say not so much. Bosses say, these college kids don't have a lot of leadership, or these graduates don't have a lot of critical thinking. They certainly aren't very good at communicating. Although the students on the survey said, we're really good at this. But the one category that the bosses say the students are better at is technology. All of you that have ever had to do a PowerPoint presentation, or all of you that have ever had to communicate on Twitter or Instagram or Snapchat or some modality, your technical skills to manage an iPhone or an Android phone, or your technical skills to work with whatever Canva or whatever this technology is, that puts you a way above a lot of those managers. A lot of people in their 40s, 50s, and 60s can barely even work their iPhone. So you come to the table as a digital, what do they call that? The digital divide is there because you grew up with this. You've been on Minecraft or whatever these software games are. That's a skill set that probably could help some company. I know my son taught himself how to make websites. He basically went on a computer, watched some YouTube videos, then he used his library card to get on lynda.com. He spent about 20 hours taking lynda.com classes to learn how to build websites. And then he built my website. He built his own website. And then a neighbor down the street said, can you build one for me? I'm a real estate agent. I need my own website. So you never know where your skills and your interests can come together. So I wanted to put that out. Now, some of you might be saying, Liz, this is great. This is all well and good, but I don't even know what I like. I don't even know where my interests are. And I wish that I was in person and we could play with this. But since we're not in person, I'm going to give you some doodling tasks. And I'm going to show you and teach you what I call the Ryasic model, because this model is a little bit like asking yourself, of these 6 categories, which of these 6 areas am I most interested in to explore? And so I want you to draw kind of a circle on your piece of paper, maybe even a hexagon. If you're really creative, you can draw a hexagon. And you can put the letters RIASEC in each of the corners of this hexagon. And I want you to imagine that you're at a career fair. You're at a job fair and there's a big party going on downstairs. You're at one of these fancy hotels and you're looking down in the lobby. And all these careers, there's booths set up. And you get to go downstairs and you get to choose where you want to hang out. Where are the people? They could be in the realistic corner of the room where the guys got the saws going. And these are people who are categorized. These are people with athletic or mechanical skills. They're working with objects and machines and tools. They're working with plants and animals. They would actually prefer to be outdoors because they like working with things. They like working with tangible things. They like concrete problems, none of the abstract stuff. These are the realistic people. So if you like those kinds of things, if you like tools and machinery, put the letter R on your sheet of paper. If you're investigative, you like thinking about ideas. You like to observe, you like to learn, you like to analyze, you like to evaluate. You're the problem solver. And you really like science or maybe mathematical things that have to do with nature. And you like working with the ideas and the physics of things. And you don't want things to be highly structured because you want to invent, you want to look at things. Those people would be in that corner of the room talking about their research projects. Or you may be like my boys, I have 2 sons, and they're pretty artistic. They're really high on the creativity. They're like innovating, they're creating things, they're very intuitional, they're kind of like going with their gut. They like things to be unstructured. They like using their own imagination, and they like self-expression. They like talking about artistic things. They like music and videos and games and design and NFTs and all sorts of sculpture things. And they just love that artistic side. So you might put the letter A down. Around the corner, you might ask yourself, am I social? Am I the people person? Do I really like to work with people? Maybe you like to help people, you like to enlighten them, you like to inform them or care for them, or maybe you would like to cure them. Maybe you like to resolve problems by discussing things. So you don't want to work with things, but you want to talk with people. You want to walk maybe children or older people or younger people. You're very social. If that's where you're drawn, think about being upstairs, looking down into this career field. And I'm going to ask you which of these categories, and if you're social, you're going to run to that social corner because all those people are socializing. Or you might be enterprising. These are the people that like to take on the tasks and do checklists. And these are the entrepreneurs. These are the people who like to be influential and persuading and leading. Maybe they want to manage other people. Maybe they're motivated by making money. Maybe they want to set high goals. They really like leadership positions. They like the big picture thinking. They're opposite of the investigative who are looking at the small things. These people are looking at the bigger picture, very enterprising. And right next to them, we've got the people that are conventional. They're a little more, they like the clerical stuff. I think there's a librarian in here. There might be a couple librarians on the call. People who like to work with the data. They have clerical abilities, numerical abilities. They like to carry things out in detail. They follow through on instructions. They're very precise. They're very organized, and they prefer structure. They prefer having situations that are specific as opposed to vague and ambiguous. So it's kind of a hexagon. If we were in person, I would show you that these are all in this fun little hexagon, but I've got that on blur for now. But take a minute. And if I said you could only go to one corner in the room, because how many jobs do you guys need? One, or at least one at a time. Now we're in the world where you can do one job that pays the money, but another job that feeds your soul. Or one job like driving Uber or Lyft or Uber Eats, and then another job is pursuing something. So now I'm going to let you have your second choice. And then I'm going to give you a bonus of a third choice. And the reason I like to do this is because these letters match up, and they actually work very well because this is the code of what's on your SAT test or your GRE test. Or if you go on to the California Career Zone website, it's www.ca.careerzone. And I'll share that with you at the end of the call, and maybe we can put that in the notes, because there's actually an online database that will ask you an interest test similar to what we just did in a party activity. And the result is a 3-letter code. And you can mix the letters up. You can be AIC or CIA or ACI. You can mix them up, but each of those codes will match you up with a different career path or a different educational path of these are the classes to take. These are the courses you might enjoy. These are the kinds of diplomas or degrees you could get. But all of this is really to help you start thinking about, what do I like? And what do I know how to do? Because all of these experiences that you choose to step into are going to be what's going to help you write your resume. And here we are, resume writing. And you'll notice the very first thing on the resume is your name, your contact information, make sure your cell phone number works, make sure that if you know where you're interviewing, you may even want to put the address on and tell them you live right around the corner. You won't be late to work because you live so close. Some people like to take their address off if they're applying online for personal reasons. Resumes have not changed that much in 25, 30 years. If you're young, 1 page, that's all you need, 1 page. Start with what's current. Put your education right at the top. If you're proud of your education, if you're not proud of your education, put it at the bottom. If you have a high GPA, 3.5 and above, put that on. If it's a low GPA, take it off. You don't need your GPA past about 1 year or 2 years out of college. You could put coursework, the classes you took, the clubs that you joined, the organizations. And then in the body of it, your work experience. If you're working for family, you could put that down. You could put Joe's Drive-In if you worked for your parents' restaurant. If you get to an interview, you can explain you've been working at the restaurant since you were 12 years old. Those are work experiences, whether you were paid or not. The online application is very challenging because you don't really have that much space. So I always recommend you have a saved copy, like a master resume, because really what you want to do is you want to put the things on the resume that are part of your life. Hobbies, interests, associations. I put organizations I volunteer with. The fact that I volunteer with the Airport Marina Counseling Center. The fact that I volunteered at the Neighborhood Youth Association. We want to put down the experiences that we've had, the skills that we've had, the knowledge, as well as the education. We do not put our network on our resume. That's a reference page. And you really should start thinking about, who do I know that knows me? Who do I like that likes me? And who trusts me that I trust to be a reference? Is it a teacher, a next door neighbor, a family member, a friend? And that's a separate document. It's called your reference sheet. And you want to have 5 or 6 names on it. And you want to touch base with those references pretty often. Ask them what jobs that they think you might be, well suited for or qualified for, because it's those references that might be the ones that make an introduction for you. There's lots and lots of information on resumes online, so I don't need to go through a lot of that, except to say when you're young, get somebody to proofread it. Ask the local librarian, hey, can you take a look at my resume? No typos, no spelling mistakes, no errors. Does it look nice? Does it look like a nice person? Would I like to hire someone with this resume? That's going to be really, really important. And if it's online, the problem is the statistics are you'd have to send 100 resumes to maybe get 10 phone calls. And of those 10 phone calls, you may get 1 or 2 interviews. But the connections of meeting people and getting out there in the world, I know it's tough with COVID, but getting out there and finding the people that have the ability to hire you, we call those the decision makers. That's really where you want to go. And sometimes when I ask people, well, ask your family, ask your friends, how did they get the job? They'll tell you they didn't even apply with a resume. They just walked in and had an interview. So now I have to coach you to be ready for your interview. There's 2 questions you're going to be asked in the interview. This is the first one. So tell me about yourself. And that's the response I usually get. What do I say? The easiest thing to say is what's on that roadmap. And I simplify it by giving it a 3-part process. Tell them where you've been. Where did you go to school? Where did you grow up? Where were you working before? Tell them your history. Tell them where you've been. Tell them where you are. What are you currently doing? If you're volunteering to help your family, you're working with your family. Do something. If you're in school, let them know you're in school. You're taking classes online. You're doing a self-study. Whatever it is you're currently doing, find something to do. If you're playing video games all day, might be time to think about doing something that you can talk about in an interview. Because the third one is, where do you want to go? If it's tell them where you've been, tell them where you are, and tell them where you want to go, that's where do I want to go? I eventually want to go to medical school. So I'd like to get a job here at the Red Cross, helping with the blood donations. Because in the past, I was helping my grandmother because she had cancer. Give them a story so they can get to know you. Give them a really good story so they start to like you. But honestly, give them a story that's the truth. I'm 100% about talking about the truth, because the first question is going to be, so tell me about yourself. The second question is going to be, why should we hire you? And that's a really tough question. So now I'm going to give you a question that you need to be asking before you get to the interview. You need to be asking before you apply, before you turn in your resume, before you go online. The $1 million question that maybe at the end of the interview, when they say, oh, do you have any questions for us? You want to be able to say, yeah. Here's my question. You're the manager. You're the hiring boss. You're interviewing 25 people here today. What exactly are you looking for? And ask the manager. Do you think they'll tell you? Yes. They will tell you, don't waste my time. You know what this restaurant needs? This restaurant needs waitresses. This restaurant needs delivery people. I need somebody who can show up every morning at 8 o'clock and make a cup of coffee. They will tell you, but only if you ask them. Don't try to guess what they need. Ask them, what exactly are you looking for? And if you like what you hear and you know you can do it and you trust it, then that's what you tell them. You say, you know what? The reason you should hire me is because I'm a really good fit. You're looking for ABC, I can do ABC. You're looking for DEF, I can do DEF. But you have to have this conversation in order to get there. And it's true, it's not that easy anymore because of COVID, because of what's going on. But we have this wonderful tool called LinkedIn. And you can all connect with me on LinkedIn. You can add a note that says you met me at this workshop. And if you've got more questions, I hope you're putting a couple questions in the chat, because I'm here, we're 2 minutes away from the last 10 minutes. And I want to make sure I leave 10 minutes for Q&A. But I do want to talk about LinkedIn. First of all, it's not for everybody. The guy that helps in my yard, the yard guy, is not on LinkedIn. My plumber is not on LinkedIn. I work with people in entertainment. I work with directors and producers and people in the entertainment industry. They're not on LinkedIn. I work with lawyers. I work with lawyers judges, they don't want to be on LinkedIn. I work with senior executives that don't want to be on LinkedIn because they're overwhelmed. They're not looking for a job. They already have a job and they have a business and they don't need to be on LinkedIn. But so many people are on LinkedIn because they do want to contribute and they want to help each other. And they're going to post articles and they're going to post information. And LinkedIn is a great resource for research. And as students looking for your first job, one of the most important things you can do is you can learn about the company. You can learn about the people you're interviewing with. Because when you get on LinkedIn, you can Google people and you can find out as much as you can in a Google search. But if you go on LinkedIn, if you've set up your LinkedIn account appropriately, then you're going to be able to see things on LinkedIn. I'm pulling up my LinkedIn just to do a quick show and tell. I'm hoping that my computer comes up quickly. I don't know how quickly that's going to come up. But LinkedIn is an opportunity to show who you are. There's my photograph. That's who I am. There's sunset in Playa del Rey at the top, very quickly. Where did I go to school? Wisconsin. What do? I do executive coaching. I do facilitation. What do I like to talk about? I've got lots of people following me. And then you can put in different sections. You get a choice on what categories you put. I've got some featured articles. I've got some podcasts that I'm on. I like to talk about some things in the world of work. And then you can scroll down and you can see where I'm commenting and liking other people. And this broadens my network, because then down here is a paragraph about who I am. And this little pencil lets you write who you are. And it helps people get to know you and decide if they like you. Because what they're going to do when you send in your application, they're probably going to Google you. Who is this person? What have they done? Do they have a media presence? So the important thing is that you're aware of LinkedIn if you choose to use it. It's optional, but it can be very, very valuable. You can upload your work experience. You can put dates in. In addition to experience, you can scroll down. There's the library that I work at. I've been doing it for 13, almost 14 years. Here's my education, things I've done. And here's my volunteer work. For some of you that are young, you may not have a lot of work experience, but you're going to have some volunteer stuff. Go ahead and put that down. All the different things that you've done. And then you could put skills in. And then your friends or your favorite teacher or somebody you've worked for, you can ask them, hey, can you help me on my LinkedIn? Can you put some skills down? Can you endorse me? Can you add recommendations? Look at all these recommendations. Looks like I haven't gotten any in the last couple of years, but people will write you a recommendation, and it's kind of a powerful tool. So there's a lot of great reasons to be on LinkedIn. I'm going to now kind of take a moment to sort of check in with Stephen. And I see that Jose added the link to the California Career Zone. Thank you so much, Jose. There are so many great interest inventories, skills inventories. There's a resume profiler on that. You can set up an account and it's free. So much research. Thank you, Jose, for putting that on there.
Thank you, Liz. That was really insightful. I wish I had listened to you before I started my career too, when I was getting out of high school. We do have a few questions here.
Oh, good. What do we have for questions?
Yeah, let's see here. First question, how should I dress for my interview?
Oh, I love this question. I always like to say my Lizism on that is dress to impress, because you do want to impress the people you're interviewing with. But the sneaky thing is you may want to kind of get a head start on, well, what are the other people there in the room going to look like? If you're interviewing somewhere that's traditional, like at a college or a university or a job in an accounting firm or a law firm, you may want to put the suit jacket on or have the nice, professional looking dress or blazer and slacks. Not too much jewelry, not too much perfume, not too much makeup. You want to dress to look professional. However, I will tell you that in Los Angeles, if you're interviewing in the entertainment world or at a startup where people are a little more casual, you can kind of tone it down and wear something that makes you feel comfortable, makes you feel confident. Wear something that's going to make you feel trustworthy and true to who you are. It's always kind of funny when people, they dress all uptight and then they feel all uptight. And I coached an executive who was trying to break into the C-suite of a company, and she dressed in a very conservative professional outfit. And her job interview was on Abbott Kinney at a studio, and there were people on skateboards and there were dogs there. And they took one look at her and thought, you know what, she's not our type. She does not look very artsy, doesn't look very cutting edge. She doesn't look very modern. I don't think she's going to take our company to where we want to go. So the answer to the question of what to wear to an interview is be clean, be presentable, and dress like you want that position and you want to show that you fit in, that they're going to get to know you and like you and trust you because you look like you can do the job. That's a great question. What else?
Thank you, Liz. Okay. Are there any words or phrases that I can use on my resume that might make me look better?
Yes, I think words and phrases on your interview to make you look better are what I call keyword search. In other words, take advantage of job applications, announcements that they have, and look to what they're looking for. If they're looking for somebody with leadership skills, who's got organizational skills, and who's got good time management, then guess what words you put on your resume? Leadership, organized, good time management. You can also kind of tweak your resume to be what the job description is looking for by making sure your words are the same kinds of words. If they are looking for somebody who's got experience with some software or some computer programs, you might want to put that at the top, highlights of qualifications or highlights of skills, and list it. But then you also want to put it inside the bullet points and repeat it so that they see, oh, she did Word and Excel and Windows and PowerPoint. Oh, and then here she did a PowerPoint report, and be specific about what it was. So not just what you did, but what was the result. So the keywords on resumes, I also like to throw out, make sure you're using numbers, dollars, percents, and numbers. If you were supervising children in an after-school program, I want to know that there were 50 of them and that they were 6 years old. and you had to work 8 hours a day, 5 days a week for 3 months with a lot of kids. Or if you worked at the lemonade stand as a fundraiser, did you raise $1,000 in 2 days, or did you raise $10,000? Did you increase profitability 10% or 80%? So lots of keywords to be grabbing off of those applications.
Great, thank you. Here's a great question for social media. Should I set my other social media to private, like Instagram?
That's a great question. And I do have to be careful because there's rumors out there that bosses and hiring managers will look at your Facebook. And if you're 19 or 20 years old and all they see is party, 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 they may not be inclined to hire you because that's the image that you're portraying. So if you have a very prolific Instagram with lots of party scenes, you may want to curate it. You may want to clean it up. Same goes on your voice message with your telephone. If it says, yo, dude, you caught me, you may want to change that to, hello, you've reached Liz Mohler. At the tone, leave your name and number, and I will call you right back. Be professional. Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, this is a good one for young folks too. How do I boost my confidence?
Oh, my
That might be a whole
goodness.
other program.
Yeah, I definitely think that's a whole nother program. I always encourage my clients, write things down, get a journal and write down all of these accomplishments that you've had, even if it's a small accomplishment in one day, just to achieve one goal, walk around the block, meet one new person, write one thank you note, do something that's going to remind you about what a great person you are. The other thing is get a buddy. Try to find an accountability buddy. Try to find a coach or a teacher or someone who can support you, and then ask them for their support. Tell them that your confidence is low. And the problem with the job search process is that it's a series of no, not hired, no, not hired, or worse, crickets, nothing, 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 nothing. And you've got to persevere. You've got to keep trying. So what I teach is what I call the backdoor approach. This is not applying online. This is the backdoor approach. And your confidence will go up as you start thinking about, what can I give? Who can I help? Who can I give back? Somebody out there in the world is worse off than you are. So volunteering at the soup kitchen, volunteering at the neighborhood, whatever it is, that can sometimes boost your confidence because you're helping somebody else. So I hope that helps. But I do think that there's probably a whole nother seminar on that. That's a great topic. Yeah.
Yeah. I think we have time for one more question. Let's see here. How do I know a new job is a good fit for me? I'm scared of making the wrong choice. I think this is when you start a new job and you're not quite sure yet in the beginning. It's going to work out.
Yeah. And let me tell you that statistically, most people will quit or get fired in the first 30 days because they don't reverse it. They don't begin with the end in mind. They jump into the job thinking it's going to be one thing, and then they realize this is not what I signed up for. So the question is, how do we know if it's the right fit? The most important thing is to network. Even if you don't know the person doing the job, you can Google, what kind of job is it to be in sales for an athletic club? What exactly does that look like? And then talk to some people, and maybe not the people working there, maybe people that used to work there. Or maybe somebody in another city or in another state, maybe just a cold call or researching it and sort of really kind of digging into what exactly, that $1 million question, what exactly are you looking for? And then what am I going to be doing? And then be honest. I'm going to try, I'll do my best. And sometimes you gotta make mistakes. Sometimes you have to get a job and then work that job and then realize, oh my gosh, this is a really hard job. And then I always tell people, don't quit. Put in your 2 weeks notice, do the best that you can. It's probably going to be mutual. You're not the right person for the job and they're not ready to have you. But if you've made a commitment to be there, please don't ghost anybody. I don't want you guys getting a bad reputation. Yeah.
Great. Wow. Thank you, Liz. Thank you for all the attendees who are getting all these great tips from you, but also for our audience in the future who will be able to watch this recorded on our YouTube channel. So thanks everyone for coming to this event. Our next virtual program will be on December 7th on the follow-up topic of how to succeed in your first job after you've gotten your first job. And in December, we'll also be hosting in-person programs on time management at LA County Library branches in Lancaster. San Fernando, Compton, South Whittier, and East LA. And you can register and find more information on these events on our website at visit.lacountylibrary.org. I'd also like to add, we do have a very short survey that we would love for you to fill out after this program concludes. This is a grant-funded program, so we do want to get the feedback. And again, thank you, Liz, so much. And thank you, everyone, for participating, and have a great night.
Thank you so much, Stephen. Good luck, everybody. Keep in touch.